I, 24 male, live with my girlfriend of 10 years now. We both graduated and got our first house together. It's been great. I'm not close to my dad. We ended up with bad blood between us in my teens because when he remarried after the death of my mom, his wife wanted all traces of my mom removed from the living spaces of the home to make it feel like her home, and they weren't willing to compromise and keep some up for me. My dad told me I could make those decisions when I pay the bills. Since I was a kid, that wasn't possible, so all my mom's photos, keepsakes, and anything she ever added to the house were taken down and stored in my room because I said Dad didn't get to keep it if he didn't think enough of Mom to keep even one thing of hers up. My girlfriend and I have a lot of childhood and family photos in our place. I kept all of mine safe at my aunt's house until I had my own place. My girlfriend's family is big on taking photos, so she has a lot of them too. We also have photos of us from our 10 years together. During the housewarming, my dad's wife noticed that she wasn't in any photos around the home, and nothing she'd ever given to me was there. She took offense, and Dad took offense on her behalf. He confronted me on the lack of signs that I had a stepmom. I shrugged him off and told him to focus on the party. He didn't like that. So a few days later, he came back over and told me I should show some sign of his wife being part of the family, and having one photo of her wouldn't kill me. I told him he could make decisions about my home when he paid the bills for my home. He went red in the face and told me that was so different. I told him it was no different. I said his home was supposed to be my home back then, but he needed to take the concept of making his wife comfortable to the extreme and showed me how little he thought of Mom or me in the process. He accused me of acting 4 instead of 24, and then he told me I was petty for throwing his words back in his face like that. He stormed off, and a few more days went by, and then he started sending me these random texts that were essentially just him repeating that I behaved like a child, and throwing those words back at him didn't help me make a valid point. He told me I hurt his wife out of spite, and I threw his words back at him out of spite, and it's time for me to grow up. Am I the idiot for throwing his words back into his face? Not the idiot. He had a complete lack of respect for his own son's grieving process to accommodate his new wife. He chose to favour his wife. Stepmother also sounds wild just to neglect the fact there is a child who lost his mother. She sounds very self-centered. I can understand maybe not having a shrine, but leaving a few pictures up so it doesn't feel like erasing or replacing entirely, and it doesn't hurt her in any way. I'm sorry, OP. He's not arguing with a kid now, is he? You're an adult homeowner making adult decisions, so his argument is garbage. Tell him an adult homeowner making adult decisions isn't some kid living under his rules. Your dad and your stepmom are particularly childish and awful people. You had a chance to throw that back in his face. Remind him that calling you childish means he finally realizes how childish his behavior is. He's throwing a tantrum because he hates being on the served side of what he previously dished out. He's right about it being different though. It was much worse when he did it to you. He arbitrarily controlled a place that you also lived in. Now he's trying to control a place he doesn't live in and has no business even commenting on the decoration. Unlike you, he has a choice about whether or not to be in your home. You also have a choice on whether or not he visits you going forward. You know what, just to make him angry even further, send him bills and tell him, for every bill you pay you get one picture of your wife displayed on my house. On another note, I'm sorry you went through the loss of your mother and didn't have a supportive father. My friend and his wife just bought their first home. It's a fixer-upper and I've been helping them out with the fixing. My father was a handyman and contractor, so I have a lot of skills and experience doing maintenance, repairs and upgrades on a house. I also have the tools I need to do most of the work. This last weekend I was helping paint the dining room. I had everything set up the way I wanted and I was ready to go. For some damn reason, his wife decides to let their dogs into the room I'm painting. One steps in the roller tray and then jumps on me. His wife laughed it off like it was not a big deal that I had paw prints on me. I also had to throw out that primer because now it had mud in it. I told them both to let me do the work in peace. After I prepared a new tray of paint, I wrote curse words in huge letters on the wall, in primer. For those of you who may not know, primer is the coat of paint that you put down before the actual paint. For lack of a better word, it sticks to the wall better, and when it dries it creates a better surface for the paint to stick to. His wife saw it and freaked. She said I was drawing profanity in her house. I told her it was primer and to stay out of my way. I then finished the job and went home. My friend called me and said that I'd really upset his wife with my childishness and that she wouldn't let me back until I apologized. I asked him what I was apologizing for. He said that I wrote a curse word on his wall. I asked him to provide a picture. He said he couldn't since I'd painted over it. I asked what the problem was since the word wasn't there anymore. He said that I needed to apologize. I said that his wanting me to apologize was in no way the same as my needing to apologize. He said that I couldn't come back until I did. No problem for me. I was helping him for free on my weeks off from work. He called me 2 days later and asked if I was coming to finish painting since I would be away at work for 3 weeks. I said I wasn't ready to apologize yet, and maybe I would when I got back. I probably won't. Now she's telling everyone that I'm a crappy person for leaving a job half finished. I told everyone who asked that I was working for free and that they told me not to return. Now there's a big fight in our friend group between the people who think I should keep the peace and those who think she's an entitled whiner. No one else is volunteering to help at their house, and now they either have to do half the job or pay someone. I'm getting grief for that too. Am I the idiot? OMG, not the idiot. Oh, what a scary threat. You can't come back and work for free on your days off unless you apologize. Well, gosh, can't I? Guess I'll have to watch TV then. If they want you to come back and paint their stupid fixer-upper for free, then they can suck it up and be grateful. Do not act like their highnesses are doing you a favour by letting you paint on your time off from work. Oh, thank you so much for letting me work for free. They would have been charged extra if they'd hired a professional after the dog incident. And hey, the professional may never come back the next day because they have other projects, and we'll get to their highnesses later. You wrote that on the wall because you're being taken advantage of in this friendship. Honestly, I would have packed up and walked out after the dog incident. My sister-in-law is a nightmare and a complete brat. My husband and I have been no contact for almost 11 years after a nasty stunt she pulled. We used to have holidays at mother-in-law's house where we would ignore her and she wasn't allowed to speak to my children. My mother-in-law sold her house earlier this year. Now the question of Christmas has come up. We offered to host everyone at our house this year, mother-in-law, some aunts, uncles, cousins and their kids. She asked if sister-in-law would be invited, and I said of course not. She asked if I expected her to leave sister-in-law alone for Christmas. I pointed out that sister-in-law is the only cousin without children and has a husband with whom she can spend Christmas. She said she wouldn't do that, so we decided to host Christmas for my family this year at my house. Mother-in-law was invited to come. Come to find out, one of the husband's cousins is hosting Christmas at her house now and his whole family is going, including sister-in-law, who is helping the cousins host and cook. Mother-in-law has chosen to go there for Christmas, so she will not see my children for the holiday. My children will also miss out on spending the day with their cousins, with whom they've spent every Christmas. All this to spare sister-in-law's feelings and to prevent her from throwing a tantrum. She's been asking if she can come over on Christmas Eve for dinner. I reminded her we go out to dinner with my brother and his wife and kids. She asked to come over in the morning, but I was honestly fed up. I told her she had her chance to spend Christmas with her grandchildren, but she chose sister-in-law instead, so we wouldn't be doing anything for Christmas with her. She had her chance and showed it was important to her. She hasn't brought it up since. I was venting to my friends, and she told me I was kind of being an idiot to mother-in-law and making my kids miss out. I think I'm looking out for them. They deserve to come before toxic sister-in-law. She is a grown woman, they are children, and their feelings should come first. Am I the idiot? Edit, she was 17 when she pulled the stunt and started problems with my family. My husband hates his sister and doesn't want to be around them if they choose her. So to be clear, you aren't willing to allow a 28-year-old who you've not spoken to for a decade to attend a family holiday celebration at your home, which includes her mother and other family members, because of something she did as a 17-year-old. I have that right? Honestly, it seems like the one throwing a tantrum or pulling a stunt is you, OP, and no one wants to play your games and now you're mad. You are the idiot. People get to decide who they want to spend holidays with. That includes you, but also mother-in-law and the rest of your husband's family. You're angry about their choices and are now punishing your kids by excluding mother-in-law altogether on the day. Childish and petty. Holidays are a perfect time for long-simmering family strife to return to a boil. Your sister-in-law is also your mother-in-law's daughter because you and your sister-in-law can't get along, and no judgment as to why. Mother-in-law has an impossible choice. She can't be with both of you, so she has to choose. It sounds like you're making the her or me ultimatum at this point. That's within your right, but if you do so, you need to be prepared for the answer to be her. Mother-in-law has demonstrated she wants to see your kids. She wants to spend time with them. Your mother-in-law is looking for a compromise to split between the two branches of the family who don't get along, and you stomp your feet and yell, "No, no, no, if you see your daughter, you can't see us." That's you being an idiot. Your sister-in-law will also matter to her mother. That's normal and expected. She's her kid. And even if not, children aren't the only ones with feelings. Yes, we should look out for them. We should also at least attempt to do what's right for the adults. I, female 24, started dating my boyfriend, 31, in February. He has a child from a previous relationship, and at first I was reluctant to be in a relationship with him, not because of the kid, but because I've heard so many horror stories of baby mama drama, which I didn't want in my life. We started dating when he assured me that he and his baby mom were just co-parenting, and he even showed me all their messages, which were about their son. Anyway, his family invited me to Thanksgiving, and this would be the first time I spent a holiday with them since I usually see my family. I decided to go to his family's house for maybe an hour or two and then go to my parents' house. We got there a bit late, but when we arrived I noticed that his baby mom was there. I honestly didn't expect it because he made it seem they weren't close, except for them having a child together. I was, of course, friendly, met all his family, and even had a conversation with his baby mom. I realised how close his baby's mom was with his family, and I realised I didn't want to be a part of that, especially when his sisters started making jokes about how his baby's mom came first, etc. I left earlier than agreed and called an Uber to my parents' home. My boyfriend called several times, but I sort of ignored it because I needed to think. After talking with my mom, I realised I didn't want to date my boyfriend anymore. I ended up calling him when I was going home and asked him if his baby mom was at every family holiday. He told me that she was since his mom loved her. I then asked if he didn't mind having some holidays with just us or just my family, so not every holiday is with his baby mom. Of course, their son would be invited. He explained he didn't like my alternatives, so I told him that our relationship wouldn't work and that I should have listened to my instincts in February. I ended up apologising and hung up before he could say anything. Since then, I've been getting several calls from him, and he even came to my home asking me to talk. I've also been getting messages from random numbers about the situation, maybe his friends, I don't know, calling me a jerk for not talking the problem out and calling me immature. What is there to talk about? I made my decision. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'm all for a healthy co-parenting relationship, and even a dynamic where parents share holidays together. But this crossed a line of disrespect that would be hard for any of his future relationships to survive. His family can like her all they want and even invite her to holidays, but there should be a level of respect for his current relationship. The sisters should never have stated, "Baby mom comes first," and your boyfriend should have shot that down immediately. He was probably in an awkward situation, and it sounds like he may want to work on that. But with the harassing phone calls you're now getting, it sounds like you made the right choice. Yeah, sisters saying baby mom comes first and boyfriend not defending her is a massive red flag. And how is she the one accused of not talking things out? She did. My boyfriend shot it down. She asked for a compromise. My boyfriend said no. She did communicate. People just don't like that she has a brain and can see the writing on the wall. I love your shiny backbone. You are so smart to get out of there. You will always come last in that relationship. After baby mom, after sisters, and after mother-in-law, he wants you just to cookie cut into his life on his terms. That's why he's dating a 24-year-old when he's 31. He hoped you didn't have the life experience to realize you were getting shafted. My parents divorced when I, 18 male, was 12 because my dad cheated and his mistress was 8 months pregnant. I was 12 when my half-sister was born. I hated the fact she existed and I knew I would never want to take on a loving or involved big brother role in her life. The courts ruled that my parents should share equal custody of me, which only changed to being able to live with my mom when I was 16. The judge said that made me old enough finally to have a say. But last year I had to stay at my dad's for a few months because my mom ended up in the hospital, and a social worker said returning to my dad made the most sense. It was in those few months, especially when my half-sister took an interest in me and wanted to follow me around and spend time with me. She got used to having me there, but once Mom was home I moved back to her house and stopped going to my dad's again. My dad, his wife and my dad's parents all say my half-sister misses me and that I need to stay a part of her life and make an effort to bond with her. But I've been clear that is not what I will do. My dad and his wife showed up at my mom's house the other day and told me my half-sister wrote in her letter to Santa that she wanted me to be there for Christmas and her birthday. I made it clear I would never be showing up for those again, and I wouldn't be part of her life or their lives. They said I could at least make small appearances for her sake, and I said it wouldn't happen, and they better figure out how to help her through that. They told me I was cruel and taking their actions out on her, when all she wanted was for her brother to love her. I told them I don't return that love or affection, and I'm not changing my mind. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, since you're old enough to decide what to do. However, I would say you're projecting the resentment you have for your father for cheating on your half-sister. That is not fair. She is blameless. So have a softer spot for her and blame who is actually to blame. That doesn't mean you need a relationship with her or are obligated to do it, but maybe think about it again without the baggage. That child is a physical reminder of how OP's dad's cheating broke up the family. The kid may be innocent, but her existence is the reason OP doesn't live with both parents. Flip their script back at them. Sure, your half-sister is just a kid and is not responsible for the circumstances, but you were just a kid when your father ripped your family apart by cheating on your mom. He and his now wife weren't too concerned about your feelings back then. They don't get to ask you to do anything for the sake of family now.